Hi everyone, I'm here today with another Christmas themed 2-page layout, and this layout is actually based on the Nutcracker, which is one of my favorite ballets, so I'm very excited about it. For this layout I used 3 different paper stacks. I used the K&company Elizabeth Brown Christmas stack, I used the specialty paper, and the designer paper. So they're very similar, but they have some different sheets and designs in them, and I used papers from both stacks. I also used the Recollections Holiday Glitter paper stack. So it just has like a lot of different glitter papers in it. But if you don't have this, you can use single sheets of glitter paper, which are pretty easy to find, or you could use metallic paper, or if you just wanted to use plain cardstock, it would look great with that as well. So I'm going to start putting together the base of my layout. So I have this piece of paper from the designer paper stack, and this one is, I want to make sure I get my measurements correct. So it is 11.5 inches across and 11 inches in height. So I have a couple of border pieces I'm going to add. One of the papers in the collection had this sheet of paper in it, so I cut it into strips to create this border. So I'm going to adhere it to the top of my paper. And the idea for this layout, the ballet actually takes place in a parlor, so I wanted this layout to be very elegant and sort of look like the parlor where all the toys are coming to life, and there's like the gingerbread army coming out, the sugar plum fairies, so that's why I chose this like beautiful cream background. It has the chandelier on it, which you can't really see once you put all the paper piecings on there, but I also chose this really beautiful gold paper. It almost has like a foil sheen to it, and I thought that it would look like the marble floor. So this is going to go flush on the bottom. So this I just trimmed right around the peppermint strips, but this is 11.5 inches across by 1 inch. And that goes flush on the bottom down here. Next I have a piece of this glitter paper, and I used this Martha Stewart punch. So I cut it at 11.5 inches by 1/2 inch and then used the punch on it. And I wanted to bring in some more pink with this layout. The paper stacks that I use have like the very traditional Christmas colors, so it's a lot of red and green and gold, a little bit of blue. So I used the glitter paper to bring in more of the pink. Because when I think of the Nutcracker, I always think of the pink ballet outfits that, not every company, but a lot of the companies have the sugar plum fairy in. So I wanted to bring that in. So next I'm going to adhere this to a piece of white cardstock, and this white cardstock is, I'm going to double check, it's 11 3/4 by 11.5 inches. So 11 3/4 by 11.5. It's going to go in the middle and then flush on the edge. So I already have my other side that I've already put together, so I'm just going to line them up to make sure that all of my papers line up in the middle. And then finally I have a piece of 12 by 12 chocolate brown cardstock. And I almost always use craft, but I wanted to bring in the darker browns. I just thought it gave a richness to the papers that I was using. And sometimes this glue takes a little while to dry, which is good because you can maneuver your papers around where you need them. But sometimes you have to give your papers a little bit to kind of settle in before you can start adding everything to them. So this is the base of our layout. And now we can start adding our photo mats and everything else. So for our photo mats, I have a 4" by 4" photo on a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 photo mat. And then this is the photo frame from Little Scraps of Heaven's Designs. It's sized at 5" by 5", and then the shadow is 5 1/4. So I have 4 of those. I'm going to have 2 at the top, and then I'm going to have 1 down here and 1 up in the corner. So, for my paper piecings, all of these are from the Nutcracker suite from Little Scraps of Heaven's Designs. So I have my tree, and they're all cut to size. I have a fireplace. This is from the 'Twas the Night Before Christmas set, and it's cut at size as well. I have my little girl. I have my clock that is striking midnight. I love the clock. And I added a large jeweled gemstone to the bezel. I have my Nutcracker. And he's got all these like pearl details. I have my sugar plum fairy. And I have my Mouse King, and he's got a lot of pearls and gemstones on his crown. So as you can see, I used a lot of the glitter paper on the sugar plum fairy, as well as on the tree and the fireplace. I think it just gives it a nice touch. So I'm going to start first adhering down my photo mats. And I inked the edges of my papers like I always do, but I did it very subtly. Like, I didn't want to distress my papers too much because I wanted to maintain that elegant feel, but I inked them just enough to give them some definition so they would pop off the other papers. And I used the Close to My Heart chocolate ink pad for that. Okay, and now I can start adhering my paper piecings. So my tree I have popped up on one layer of foam, and I actually have this, the tree stand adhered like flat, and the tree is popped up on foam, so that has more dimension, and then all of my ornaments are popped up on foam. So that way everything kind of pops out. And I'm not going to add glue to the foam at the top of my tree because it's going to go over my photo mat. And I don't want to adhere it down because I still want to be able to put, you know, slide my photo under. But I am going to put some glue on my tree stand. So my fireplace, I have, I cut a background shape for it, and then the fireplace is popped up, the ledge is popped up on one thickness of foam, and then my logs are popped up. So it has some nice dimension to it. And then my girl, she is also popped up on foam. And for her face, I used the Peachy Keen Dolly Dumplings face assortment set to stamp her face, and I also used that stamp set on the Sugar Plum Fairy. But on the Nutcracker, I used the paper doll assortment set. And her face is popping up a little bit, so I'm actually going to add a little bit of zig to a, just to hold that down a little bit better. And the ruffle on her dress is also popped up on one layer of foam. So my Sugar Plum Fairy, her skirt is popped up on foam to make it look really full and like a tutu. But I'm going to adhere her flat to the page because my Mouse King is going to sit right next to her, and he's popped up on foam, and I want them to have a little differentiation. He's going to be sitting right here on top of the photo frame. And then finally I'm going to add my clock, my Nutcracker. So my clock it's popped up on one length of foam, but then I have these pieces right here, I have them popped up as well so that it would have more dimension. I didn't want it to be, you know, flat. So I'm not going to add glue all the way up because again it's overlaying my photo frame. And then my Nutcracker is popped up on one thickness of foam. And that is my 2-page Nutcracker themed Christmas layout. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I really had a lot of fun putting this one together. And thank you so much for taking time to watch my video. I hope you all have a great day, and goodbye.